We've got an update now. The Rutherford County Library System has just named an interim director after a controversial firing earlier this month. David Coucher, who currently serves as the system's HR manager, is stepping into the role. This change comes after former director Lou Ann James, who you're seeing here, was ousted from her position. That decision came after James refused to relocate LGBTQ books from the kids section to the adult one. The board says Coucher will serve as interim director while they look for a permanent replacement. Officials say they expect to begin that formal search sometime in the coming weeks.